What up, racer? ItsJerone here. We're back with another FRL season. It actually started earlier than I expected. I expected it to take it a couple of more weeks. But we're here, and I really don't mind, because the more league racing, the more better, really. Season 8, a couple of new people joining, most notably from the ERT team. And someone who's missing today is WR Lars, who is a very good driver, and I would love to race against him. So he's not here today because he had to drive in the PSGL XVRT Esports Cup, but in theory he should be there for the next races. Also, always important, the calendar. It will be a 12-race season with all the new tracks, so Saudi Arabia, Imola and Portimao. First we'll do Brazil again, not sure why, then we'll go to the desert and we will end up with basically all the tracks I like, except Italy, but I'll just have to deal with that. Before going into the race weekend though, I first of all want to have a little look at the finalized standings from last season. As you can see, I drove all races and finished up 7th in the standings. Terra Racer won the league, so once again, GG's to him. And finished equal on points with Kyle. He was definitely better than me last season, as well as Jeroen. And well, a couple of others below there as well, but many of the drivers did not start all races, so should not attach too much value to these standings. Goal for this season, get a couple of podiums. Now with all these messages out of the way, let's get into the session here at Brazil. It will be completely dry for qualifying and the race. But before we actually get into the qualifying session, there was something wrong with the session. Already driving out of the pit lane here, I noticed that my tire temperatures were staying at the same temperature level, which is of course not good when you want to have surface and carcass temperatures on. So checking tire temperatures right now, and you can just see it's permanently staying at 93 degrees. So we did a restart to turn out some other assists were on as well, which is of course not the best, as we want to race without, well, I think not all assists are banned. I think racing line is allowed and maybe something else, I have no idea. But yeah, as you can see, people are leaving the lobby and we're restarting again. Ginger being a terrible lobby host. No, I'm kidding, it's fine. So we're moving back into the lobby screen now, and I want you to pay attention to something else. And that's to the right hand side of the screen, to the connection bars. As you can see, they are fluctuating quite a lot, and in the previous lobby they were not. But in the week prior to racing in this league again, my internet provider did an overnight update, and I think it kind of screwed my internet over a bit. I'm not using a LAN cable right now, because, well, it's really a pain in the ass to get a LAN cable across my whole house. It's basically not doable. So I'd also been using Wi-Fi with, like, Wi-Fi extender and plugging an internet cable into there. And it was basically always fine, but now there do seem to be some connectivity issues, especially in terms of stability. I think the overall, let's say, power of the network is still fine. It's somewhere around 20 to 30 megabits per second constantly, so I don't think that's a problem. It's just the ping that's a bit of a problem right now. But you'll see later how that affects my race. First though, we're into qualifying, and you can see first I'll put in time on the mediums, now put in a time on the soft compound, P4 for the moment with a 7.0. Personal best around here is I think 6.6, so still plenty of time to find. This also was not a perfect lap. So we're heading on to final lap of the session. As you can see, half a minute left in the top right. And going through turns 1 and 2 and 3 right now, the Senna S's, and it wasn't good, it wasn't committed, and lost quite a lot of time there. Nearly a full 10th relative to my previous lap. Then braking for this corner where I invalidated a couple of times before. This time I managed to keep it valid, but once again I lost a bit of time to my previous time on the soft compound. So I had to make up quite a bit of time through the middle and final sector. But unfortunately, this time I do run wide here through this uphill right-hander and extend it on the exit. So that's a lap invalid, won't have an opportunity to improve anymore. Still gonna continue my lap, would have liked to see what in the end the time would have been. I did in the end find quite a bit of time through the middle sector, and in the end I will improve my time by a full 10th, but obviously it won't count because it's invalid, and would have been 6.9. In the end though, I'll end up in P8 I believe, currently still in P7, but I think someone behind was improving. So ERT Khalifa, pole position in his first race in the league, good job by him. Teammate for the season will be Yannick, qualified in second, and for myself I'm in a McLaren sandwich right now. In the end the 1/10 improvement would not have improved my position anyways, so it's fine. P8 on the grid, let's see what I can do. Regarding strategy, Brazil is quite an easy one-stop, an easy soft to mediums. Game didn't let me select soft to mediums, so I thought I'll just change it when I'm driving. A little bit extra fuel, of course in true FRL style, we don't do race practice here, so just basically guessing how much fuel I need to put in. And yeah, let's see what happens. Also, when you have bad connectivity, apparently some sort of little connectivity bar appears next to all other drivers, their names. And in the meanwhile, you could also see a Red Bull was flying by there. And if you look at the minimap, not sure what was happening here, but one of the drivers from the back of the grid just sort of teleported through the whole field. And now it happened again. So really weird bug here by Codemasters. But then after like more than a minute, the lobby reset finally. And, well, I don't think anybody was quite prepared for it at this moment. But we're starting the race now with 5 red lights. P8 on the grid, and tires didn't cool down in the meanwhile, so that's a good thing. And it's quite a good start for me, getting ahead of one of the McLarens there on the right hand side. Although we're still side by side with Heyoo, heading into turn 2, leaving the space on the inside. But he decides not to fight it too hard at this moment. So, gonna use a lot of ERS here. Make sure stay in the slipstream of Ginger, and I make up one position. Do run quite deep though at the start here, so that allows Heyoo to have a little look again, but covered off the middle of the track, and then there's basically nothing you can do there. So up one position, and now I'm behind the Alpine of Ginger. So actually make a little bit of contact there I think, but of course that's not enough to do wing damage. So good start I would say, making up one position on the soft compound. And yeah, at this point it's just basically really difficult to overtake each other when you're in a DRS train. And I think with the quality of drivers here, not many people make mistakes, so I think we're all smart enough to not do anything rash and anything silly here to start. You can definitely see though, my internet was not great. Ginger was moving a bit around there, and yeah, I think most of the race my connection was very stable, but there were a couple of moments where there was just ping fluctuations, and you could see those little connectivity icons come up on the side. So skipping a little bit, we're on lap 6 now. You can see Heyoo overtook Symbolix again for I think the first 5, or from lap 2 to lap 5. Symbolix was behind me, and Heyoo managed to get the overtake done. So Heyoo definitely had some overspeed relative to Symbolix, and he's also a bit faster than me, so you could see I had to use quite a bit of ERS there to make sure I stayed ahead for the moment. Got really close to Ginger actually in the braking zone. Currently on 65% of the battery, so I managed to save quite a bit of battery over those last few laps. But there's just basically nothing you can do in terms of overtaking someone when in the DRS train, when you don't have overspeed on someone. So someone who did have overspeed on me though was Heyoo in his McLaren. He was really strong in the final part of the second sector, the downhill left-hander. I couldn't take that flat, otherwise I would probably overheat my tires, as well as it would be very precarious in terms of having enough grip to make it with the downforce levels I'm running. I think I was running 9.7 for this race, so on that straight I had to make sure I had to use quite a bit of ERS to stay ahead of Heyoo. Then a lap later, you can see it's exactly the same thing here. I have to make sure I keep using my ERS, and fortunately for me I think I'm running a lower wing angle than Heyoo, so I'm pulling away on the straights as he does send it down my inside here, and I was paying attention and make sure I left him a bit of space. And in the end I just had the better line, so managed to stay ahead. Coming down into turn 4, defending the middle of the track, and that's position defended for now. but I'm having to work really hard here in order to defend my 7th place in the race. Heyoo's putting on some massive pressure here, so skipping ahead from lap 9 into lap 10, and this time I actually decided, you know what, I'm not gonna fight it too hard, make sure he has to use a bit of ERS to get past, but I'm not gonna keep this up for I don't know how many more laps. I'll just let him go, make sure I keep it a clean and penalty-free race, and I'll go from there and see what I can do in the pit stop phase. So Heyoo can crack on from now, as he actually runs a bit wide on that corner, but keeps his position. In the meanwhile, you can see 35-37% tire wear for me, and first pit stops are coming in on lap 11. ERT, well, I'm not sure if it's Arnaud or Arnaud, I'm not sure whether you need to pronounce it the French or the Dutch way, but for now I'll go with Arnaud. So then next lap, Yogurt pitting from I think the lead of the race. He was challenging with my teammate, so both the SXT drivers up front. Ideally, I probably should have pit on lap 12, because lap 13 was a lap for my teammate, so I had to essentially do an overcut, and now we're coming into the pit lane with Jeroen in front of me, Heyoo, and I think someone else in front, not entirely sure, but let's see where I come out. And Simbalix did pit on previous lap I think, but I do manage to stay ahead of him, and we actually get some nice DRS heading into turn 4, so that made it even easier to defend the position there. So we're down to 12th place, a couple of alternative strategy runners ahead of us. So you can see that Red Bull there in the male sector, that's Terror Racer, he's leading the alternative strategy. Then there's Aston Martin, who is also an alternative strategy, and I think there's a Williams in this pack somewhere as well, who is also an alternative strategy. So we'll have to cut through those drivers in the upcoming laps. In the meanwhile, you can also see Aston Martin of Konzo into the pit lane. He was already behind me, so he will obviously stay behind, but we'll have fresher tires towards the end of the race. In the meanwhile, up front you can see Heyoo making the move on ERT Thomas, and Thomas is the Williams driver that's also an alternative strategy, so he will be significantly slower than everyone else in this train at the moment. And unfortunately I do catch him at quite an awkward moment. You don't want to be catching someone on alternative strategy on older tires in the middle sector of this track. Thought about sending it down the inside here, but I decided against it because it's quite a risky move. I don't know ERT Thomas yet, so I'm not sure how much attention he was paying, whether he would have left space, etc. So just decided to wait for the main straight. And it actually invites Simbalix to put some pressure on me as well, who is already on a 3-second time penalty by the way. But you can see in the meanwhile Heyoo pulled away quite a lot as we're overtaking Thomas in the Williams. And I had to use quite a bit of ERS to make sure I also stayed out of Simbalix here, which I managed to do. But the main problem right now is we're out of DRS range. So we're not in a train anymore, and there's a 1.7 gap to Heyoo, who overtook Thomas about 2/3 of a lap earlier. So not the best situation to be in, because I have to push really hard right now to make sure I get back within DRS range. And in the end I did manage to do that, because I think a lap and a half later quite a few other drivers got some of the other alternative strategy runners. I think that Aston Martin I mentioned, and Terror Racer in front of him. So that was good news for me. I had to use a serious amount of battery to catch up. But then I think on this lap Ginger caught a bit of damage. So just as I got back within DRS range, the DRS train breaks up again. And although I do gain a free position, I'm once again out of the DRS train. So not optimal. Then heading on to lap 19, nearly heading into lap 20, you can see the Aston Martin pretty wiggling around, and he puts it into the wall on the right hand side. So once again I was finally within the DRS train again. I do get DRS for this straight, but once again I'm out of the DRS range of the cars ahead, with Heyoo and Arnaud both on same strategy as me, except I think Arnaud pit one lap earlier than I did. So maybe I do have a little bit of a tire advantage at this stage, and hence a pace advantage, but it's really close. Whoa, in the meanwhile though, you can see Khalifa resetting to track there, and that's a free position for me. He was someone on the same strategy as me. I think we picked the same lap, so that's good for me, position gained, but you can see up front 1.1 seconds at the DRS detection point, so still won't get DRS for this straight, but I think both Arno and Heyoo will make the move on Terror Racer here, heading into lap 22, and that's indeed what they do. So once again, looks out, I'll be stuck behind Terror Racer in the middle sector, so once again behind an alternative strategy runner in the middle sector. Just about missed the DRS for this straight heading into turn 4. That was unfortunate as well. So I definitely was not extremely lucky here with points where I was catching the traffic and DRS trains breaking up. You can see it running on 16% heading ERS heading into the braking zone. So it's not an optimal situation for me. You can see how much more tire grip you have when you pit. I think that is 14 lap pressure tires than Terror. So we're heading onto the straight now. You can see him teleporting a little bit again, so that's just once again a sign of my internet not being optimal, but of course he's not going to defend this too hard, so just gonna go down his inside and run semi-deep into the corner, but it's actually more than enough to get a good enough exit and to make sure Terror Racer can't challenge back, and in fact he's being overtaken by Symbolix as well. So I was doing quite well at this point. I think was on one warning I believe, and we're back within DRS range, but right as I say that, that's a massive snap of oversteer, and that invites the pressure from Symbolix again, so I was just charging my ERS back up a bit again, but due to that mistake I immediately had to drain my ERS again, so we're once again back at about 10 to 15% ERS, so that wasn't good. Then lap or two later I think was looking to ask what was going to happen with the driver in front, but then you could just see an Aston Martin I think reset to the track, or I have no idea what happened there. I'm not sure how you sort of spin in the middle of a straight. I have no idea what was happening there, why he was going so slow. Yeah, okay, so 12 lap old tires for Arno in front, whereas we have 11 lap old tires. I have really no idea what that Aston Martin was doing and why a reset the track happened. But watch the Mercedes there in, well, he's a lap down, and he just came out of the pit lane together with the Williams I think. And I'm not sure what happened, why he went straight on. It also doesn't seem like he's out of the race, but it does cause a safety car, so that switches up the game once again. So we're in a net P6 right now, and heading into the pit lane I think everyone was going for a fresh set of soft compound tires, and in the end I had to create a little bit of space for myself in order to make sure the double stack would work. I think relative to Heyoo and Arno I lost like 2 seconds in the pit stop, but in the end it meant I didn't lose any positions, so that's good. So P6 going into the pit lane, P6 going out of the pit lane. Then something really interesting as well. You could see the Red Bull was catching the pack, and it's a really late call for the safety car to be coming in. I was fully expecting it to take another lap, but quite clearly the game decides against it, so I immediately had to do some tire warming and trying to time the restart, but I timed it wrong. I think I was thinking that the driver in front still wasn't going yet, but now we're 3 wide heading into turn 1. I'm going around the outside all the way, which turns to the inside for turn 2, and it's enough to hold on to 6th place for now, although Symbolix is challenging again, but as shown previous times, I think I was running lower wings, so on the straight I definitely had an advantage, and I managed to stay ahead as Arno is looking for a move on Heyoo, but you're not going to make that work there heading into turn 6, I think that is. So interesting that there was a safety car, everyone on a fresh set of softs now, everyone has equal tire life, and Arno was certainly struggling to keep up with the DRS train, and in fact the DRS train is broken up. he didn't manage to stay close enough to Heyoo, and that means that the DRS train has broken. You can see Heyoo 2 seconds ahead. He's on a 3-second time penalty. I was not in the party, the FRL race party, so I wasn't sure what was happening in front, how many time penalties everyone had, so just thought, let's just keep on pushing, see what happens. So we overtake Arno for P5 on track. You can also see Jeroen and Heyoo both on 3-second time penalties. I think I'm only still on 1 warning at this point, but I ran a little bit deep into turn 1, so that means I'll come under pressure here down into turn 4, but then I am honestly still not entirely sure what happened here and how I got spun round. Symbolix also had a problem. He also dropped a couple of positions, but here you can see it from Arno's POV, and unfortunately it did involve lag on my end, so in the end I think I'm responsible for causing my own crash here. But you could just see this is just ping, I think. Yeah, I'm really not sure what was happening here, and you could just see, yeah, I really don't know why I actually got spun out, but clearly the game thought it was necessary to spin me around there, and I can understand the confusion there from Arno's point of view. He sort of just took the corner normally and killed Symbolix that way, so Symbolix crash was a bit of a negative externality from my bad internet here, so apologizing to him for messing up his race, and yeah, just not sure what to say really. That internet update really just screwed me over. If any of you have tips in terms of improving internet on Wi-Fi, please let me know. After this race I did assign a particular channel to my Wi-Fi router, and that did already seem to help a couple of the issues, but I'm pretty sure it can be improved still. Having a look at the timing sheets, you can see the top 5 finished within 6/10 of each other, which is absolutely insane. Yannick won the race with a 6-second time penalty on track. Then Jeroen crossed the line in seconds with a 3-second time penalty. And as you could see, also Heyoo and Arno had 3-second time penalties. And in the end, it's Khalifa, who was behind me, who won the race in the end on 0 seconds. So GG's to him, winning his first race here. And the painful reality is for myself that I probably could have won this race if my internet didn't bug up this much. As I said though, already found a couple of improvements to the internet, but make sure you leave any tips behind in the comments. Next race, new track, Saudi Arabia, should be very exciting, and hopefully my internet will be better by that point. If I realize my internet's still bad, then I'll just make sure I quit for that race, but hopefully that's not the case. If you fancy it and if you don't want to miss any races in this league, then make sure you subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you for the next video. Bye bye.